Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. This is freedomthroughastrology.com. I'm your astrologer. My name is Alan Patak. Here's my contact information, standard YouTube copyright, and no, my content may not be used to train AI LLMs. I was actually hoping to get this out early yesterday, but the internet out where I live was going crazy because of the thunderstorms. Keys to the reading, part one. I do read astrology differently, and this is how I read it, interpret it. I use what's called constellation-based astrology, sometimes known as true sidereal astrology. It's astrology by the visible sky or astrology by astronomy. In ancient times, astrologers were astronomers, and they would look where things are in the sky, read it there, and that was it. Tropical astrology fixed the signs to seasons around 200 AD, and that's not safe. Hold on. My power supply just took a dive. Sorry about that. Around 280, they fixed the signs to seasons, and the constellations just kept ignoring them. That's how we get the astrological ages we're in. So if you like having astrology read by the Roman patriarchy, I'm not your guy. But if you want to know how the ancient astrologers would read your chart, come talk to me. And with reading the visible sky, we have 13 signs. Between Scorpio and Sagittarius is the foot of a fucus. And depending on the different stories that go along with it, they're both pretty consistent. Is it the ancient gods taught a fucus, right? And the other one is Asclepius. I'm sure there's more stories and I'll find them. How to heal themselves of wounds that they had so that they could heal others with similar wounds. So it's this archetype of the wounded healer. I use the natural size of the constellations because, excuse me. I use the natural size of the constellations because they are all different sizes in the sky. Virgo is huge at just under 50 degrees versus Aries, Libra, Cancer, Scorpio, Fucus. Individually, they're less than 25 degrees. The constellations vary in sizes. That's according to astronomy. So I use the natural size of the constellations, and I think it's more accurate. And this is my one deviation. I use astrological midpoints as opposed to the IAU boundaries, because if you actually zoom in close enough on some of them, you'll find, like, for example, between Scorpio and a Fucus, there are stars from Scorpio over the IAU boundary in a Fucus. Just move it over a couple million miles, it'll be fine. So Athens Shementi noted this, and he looked at the zodiac belt, last bright star of Scorpio, first bright star of Fucus. Excuse me. What's the midpoint? Is everything pretty much where it's supposed to be? Yeah. And he went with it. And I kind of like that. I think it's more accurate. Here's reading part two. I interpret using what's called evolutionary astrology, which says the planets, etc., are offering you lessons to learn. And with that comes freedom of choice. You can choose the high road or the low road. Either way, you do have the freedom to choose. Yes, you will face the transits. How you do it is a different story. This is the weekly edition, so these are universal lessons, so do have some compassion on your fellow Earth travelers. Dates and times are based on the Eastern U.S. time zone, as I am outside of Buffalo, New York. I'm operating within 1 degree of exact. That means that's when these transits will be most intense. I could go wider, but there's a few weeks where that would get overwhelming, and if I'm overwhelmed, you're lost. And the software that I'm using is Capricorn by Prometheus, which will soon be re-released through the ISAA. This is the weekly transits for the week of June 15th through 21st, 2026. We have a sign change. The sun begins the week in Taurus and will end the week in Gemini. If you're in tropical astrology, that's something totally different. But we are working with the visible sky here. And the moon, again, is in Taurus, begins the week in Taurus, and will end the week in Virgo. That's not as busy as it sounds because it's going to change. It changed signs Monday morning, which is when I'm actually recording this Monday afternoon. So, but it changed during Monday a.m. and it's not going to go into Virgo until Sunday a.m. So it's a little less busy than it sounds. We do have our first quarter moon in Virgo on June 21st on the solstice at 4:34 p.m. Our active planet for the week is Venus again. So relationship's going to be very important. We do have another sign change. In addition to the sun, Mars is entering Taurus. Stand up for your right to have peace and quiet. We do have some long transits that we'll be addressing. Uranus and the moon's nodes, so destiny impacting individuality, and also Neptune and Pluto. Spirituality, and it's affecting your ability to transform. Pluto, however, is also retrograde. Via this, Uranus and the moon's nodes will be going on until end of October, August, I think. And Neptune and Pluto will be going on till the end of October. So let's take a look at this week. Let's get our doodle tool up. Let me get this out of the way. And we'll start like I always do with the moon here. And as you can see right here, let's try that again. Right here, we have the moon going into Gemini, and here's Cancer, and then we have the long transit into Leo, and then that moves into Virgo. So it's not as busy. The lunar week is not as busy as it sounds. We do have the first quarter moon on Sunday morning. We do have the first quarter moon on Sunday morning. Or Sunday afternoon, I'm sorry, Sunday afternoon, late Sunday afternoon, actually, with the moon being in Virgo squaring the sun in Gemini. So we will have that. This dashed line, anything above it is the old transit, anything below is the new transit. So you can see we do have Uranus being squared by the nodes, and I'll explain that when I get to that slide. And we do have that incredibly long transit of Neptune and Pluto. Our star planet for the week, and I'm going to include transit from last week because the bulk of it is actually in this week, is there you go with Venus. And again, the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. So if you want to have an influential outer planets, all of them are getting into action this week. We do have two other transits, Mercury sextiling Mars. You can see there's no exact. This is a weird one. Try different models. None of them pegged out an exact. And we do have the sun sextiling Chiron. On Thursday, you will have Mars entering Taurus. And on Friday, which I believe is Juneteenth, I just know I have off from school that day, you'll have the sun in Gemini. So that's our week. It's not as busy as it seems. We don't have a lot of transits. We do have a couple long lingering ones, and we'll be feeling the impact of these for quite some time. But the new transits are very few and just two quick sign changes. So here we go. Let's clear our drawings. Close that out. Yeah, and like I said, yesterday the internet kept crashing out when I was trying to record this. And I think it was because of those thunderstorms we had. We had some pretty wicked ones. My kittens were hiding any place they could. Whoops. Previous. Okay, I got to escape. And we're going to go here. There we go. And we're going to begin with Uranus being squared by the nodes of the moon. This is destiny impacting. Destiny being impacting individuality. And I'm still going to be doodling for a while because if I use the index finger too much, it actually goes numb. So we'll be doing it this way for a little bit. I do want to get back to those other drawings. It's a little bit more work, but I think it's a little bit better. But the South Node in Leo is showing you how you hold yourself back with pointless drama. And it's the drama of the past. And how you overcome that is you move to your North Node. And with that, you become your authentic self. You're making your destiny authentic and true to who you are at heart. And my computer's getting a little weird. Normally I have it elevated. There we go, that's better. Much better. There we go. Easier for me to read too. And they're both squaring Uranus and Taurus. Now, a square is a challenge whose purpose is to strengthen you. It's a challenge. It's going to be difficult, but the purpose is to strengthen you and how to become stronger and better. And it is squaring Uranus in Taurus. And Uranus is your becoming your individual self. What makes you truly unique? And it's good always to know your natal Uranus and where that is. And it is in Taurus. So it's you finding the strength and peace that comes from becoming your authentic self. And you're asking me, why are you saying it's the nodes squaring Uranus? Because the nodes circle, their orbit is actually 18.6 years. Uranus circles the sun and gets back to its natal position in 84.4 years. So really the nodes are translating faster. So this is destiny challenging and strengthening your individuality. What's the shadow here? South node gets caught up and relives and rehashes the drama of the past. And instead of becoming your authentic self, you sell out to the expectations of others. Whether that's giving in to what other people expect you to do, or you're acting out like this pointless rebel. And this square, instead of being a challenge that strengthens you, it becomes a crushing burden. And what is it crushing? Your individuality. Your individuality gets thrown out the door. You, like Aquarius, because Uranus rules Aquarius, you are neither becoming this pointless rebel without a cause or a clue for that matter, or you're selling out and giving in to the expectations of other people and doing what other people tell you. So if you sell out to the drama of others and you give them away your destiny and one of your purposes in life to the expectation of others, it's just going to crush who you really are at heart. Okay. Oops. And the second one that we have, and this first one, the Uranian transit, is going to be with us through the through the beginning of July, actually. I think, yes. And then our second one, the two old men of the solar system, Neptune and Pluto. This one is going to get very interesting because you're going to have Neptune go retrograde, then Pluto go direct, then Neptune go direct. So we're going to have several exact points in this one. So if you're looking at my blog online, it just says XXY because there's going to be a number of multiple exacts, and I will tell you when those are going to be coming up. But Neptune in Pisces, simple lesson here. Don't just do something, be present. Neptune in Pisces teaches you to be present and be aware of who and where you are in this moment. Forget about the future. Don't worry about the past. Who and where are you right now? And a sextile is an excitement or an interest or a curiosity. And as you're becoming aware of where you are and who you are right now and your connection to the divine, whatever you believe, that creates an interest in your on how you're doing the work of transformation. And right now with Pluto in retrograde, this is a time of reflection and internal work. So you're looking at the work of transformation and deep healing. And how is your being spiritually present, spiritually aware, and in this moment, helping to create an interest in this transformation and what changes do you need to make? Because retrograde is also about an opportunity to create change. The shadow here, Neptune gets lost in fantasies. And the sextile is a sense of excitement, not excitement, but nervousness. Instead of a positive excitement, it's nervous and almost fearful in a way. And Pluto in Capricorn gets lost in darkness, loneliness, can be a bitter control freak. Losing your wait a minute. And that's becoming lost in fantasies or trying to escape reality, has you slipping into darkness and cynicism, leaving you feeling alone and isolated. So those are our two very long transits for the week. We began the week with, we began the week actually, the moon actually was back here in Taurus. So Monday morning when you woke up, the goal was feeling emotionally calm, emotionally stable, grabbing at some time for peace and quiet, and looking for the strength that becomes from being calm. The shadow here is being stubborn, getting stuck in a rut. It can come across being lazy or bullheaded. So there's that. And then we had Venus, whoops, God. Venus sextiling Uranus. And Uranus is really getting pegged right now. A lot of transits to Uranus this week, honestly. Venus in Cancer, nurturing your relationships, taking care of your relationships. Also, taking care of the healing power of art and music in your life, and just knowing when to take a rest. It's kind of interesting that Venus is about taking rest, right? Is taking rest, taking a break. That's one of the interpretations of it. And Cancer is about self-care. So how can these things, relationships, creativity, or self-care create an interest in you becoming more at peace with who you really are and finding the strength that comes from that. And the shadow, Venus can be slick, manipulative, copycat. And it can also be in Cancer becoming defensive, and Sextile is nervous. And in all those, that defensive copycat, or the slick and manipulative person who's trying to control people, creates a sense of nervousness, and you're losing your individuality. And other people are kind of tainting your self-image and how they perceive you, and you buying into that. And you can be acting out like the control. You're acting out and being a bull in a china shop, or you can just be lazy and say, "Whatever, people, I don't care." Okay, so then on Monday, let me clear this all. Monday, oops, close this out. Is actually Monday morning. We do have the moon in Gemini, which is about opening up to new information, ideas, and paying attention to what's going on around you intellectually. And how is this providing important insights? So it's being emotionally curious. What's driving your curiosity right now? The shadow here is falling into distraction and have you rationalizing anything and everything, no matter how pointless. So ideally, emotionally, you're following your curiosity. The shadow, you're just distracted and, squirrel chasing it. And Tuesday, I'm going to close this out. Tuesday, we have Venus trining Neptune. All the old men of the solar system are kind of getting triggered this week. Yes, this is a trine, so this is 120 degrees. A trine is a 120-degree angle. This is an easy energy to work with. A little bit goes a long way. Things can flow very smoothly. So it's how you're nurturing your relationships, or being nurtured by your relationships, or by your art and the healing experiences of art, or just knowing when to calm down, rest, and take a break. How can this support your spiritual growth, spiritual development? Yeah. The shadow, Venus, being slick, manipulative, and in Cancer, defensive, or it can also be lazy, defensive about its art, or just copycatish. Are finally, instead of taking that well-needed break, just dosing up on caffeine or whatever, and just pushing yourself to the limits and burning yourself out and just wanting to hide away. And this trine becomes a slick road downhill. And Neptune in Pisces is getting lost in illusions, lost in confusion. So being manipulative, lost, or faking relationships can leave you lost in illusion. Are now resting, leave you drained, feeling empty, and again, lost and confused. So I almost want to say dazed and confused, but that would be appropriate. And we also have, this is coming up later on Tuesday, so let me just kick there. I should have. Venus will be opposite Pluto in Capricorn. So again, reflect how your relationships are nurturing relationships, how is working on that and being and helping those relationships heal. How is that helping you reflect and doing the work of inner transformation? How do you need to change to make your relate to nurture so you can be more nurturing in your relationships? What work do you need to do? And how can that be healing? So you're balancing the inner work on yourself on with your work on with others, and also with your art, with your music, or with how can taking a break, how can that help you with doing the work of restoration and change? The shadow here, again, being slick, manipulative, kind of driven in a dark way, and I want to say that. How is that fueling? And this throws you an opposition here, throws your life out of balance, and it can Pluto and Capricorn be caught up in dark power trips and leave you feeling empty, leave everybody involved in any which way feeling empty and hurt. Shallow relationships can feel empty and leave everyone in the dark. Creativity is just copycatish, and just constantly pushing yourself and being defensive. Like I said, that person who constantly drinks espresso and energy drinks and getting snippy with people leaves them feeling alone and isolated. And Wednesday morning, we will have the moon in Cancer. There we go. Moon in Cancer. The moon rules the sign of Cancer. This is where you're practicing emotional self-care, not sled care. I love the typos I find on my blog. Practicing emotional self-care, taking time to rest. Quiet time can be a healing experience. So this is where you need to know. This was a great thing. An example here. My friend's daughter, she was going to UB. We would sometimes get together, meet for coffee. Or I would have coffee, she would drink tea. We'd meet at a shop someplace, and we would just sit there. I'd be reading a book, she'd be doing her homework. And that just because we had the ability of knowing when to do that, when knowing just to be together and nothing needs to be said, was such a healing experience and so rewarding. And I think that nurtured that relationship and made it really valuable. The shadow is falling into whining and being defensive. This creates emotional stress and just a desire to hide away. And on Thursday, there we go. I'm just going to go end of the day because that's going to get me everything that I want here. Here we go. First of all, we have the moon in Leo and the morning. So the moon entering Leo. Learn to express yourself and be seen appropriately. So it's learning how to express yourself emotionally and appropriately. Be seen. Be willing to share. The shadow here is being pushing over dramatic. Think of the drama king or drama queen, or trying to hide away. Either one turns people off. How are you feeling? Don't want to talk about it. It's like not a good thing. Either which way, whether it's over the top or trying to hide away, neither one is good. Learn to share what you're feeling appropriately. And secondly, we have Mars entering Taurus on this day. So Mars is learning to have courage. And in Taurus, courage, defending your right to have peace and stability in your life, and also defend that calm inner strength. That we all know that person. Everybody knows this person where you're working, you have somebody comes up and I'm going to push his buttons, and somebody asks a question and says something just to push buttons, and they look at him and they give like a short answer and go back to work. And no matter what you do, it's like, look, I've got my right to have peace and calm, and I'm not going to let you take that from me. We have a teacher here that just gives the kids the look and they just quiet down. It's an amazing experience. But it's defending your right for peace and calm, and assert yourself and let go of what does not matter. This shadow here is holding on to anger and grudges and becoming stubborn. And this creates more problems. And whether it's that quiet anger that's soothing underneath the surface, or it's that bull in a china shop. Let's recognize that Taurus can be the bull in a china shop. If you poke a bull hard enough, it will charge. I've worked on farms. When the bull was just sitting there, it was fine. But when it started running around in a certain way, you got out of that pasture fast. Angry Taurus, bad experience. And with this, we're going to have Mercury in Gemini. Whoops, God. Learning how to still use the middle finger on my mouse. Mercury in Gemini, learning to pay attention, being aware of the world around you, creating an interest in internal peace, and helping how to defend your right to having peace and quiet. So being open-minded and willing to learn creates an interest in standing for what really belongs to you and what really brings you peace and stability in life. And greater knowledge and learning more can help inspire courage and give you, knowledge is power. The shadow here is being unfocused, scattered, and distracted, how this fuels feelings of fear and leave you feeling unmotivated or raging about life. And let's clear this. Clear. Close. And let me see. Friday, I'm going to just go to the end of the day. Friday. There we go. Close enough for government work. Friday on Juneteenth, we have the sun entering Gemini. Sun, your core identity in Gemini, paying attention. But paying attention to what? Who are you at heart? So this is a time to focus on learning about yourself and your own values and what's important to you. Pay attention to what others are saying, as this can provide valuable feedback. So you're paying attention to the world around you so you can learn about you. Look at the world being your mirror here. The shadow here is refusing to learn or paying attention, leaves you rehashing the lessons and stories of the past endlessly like a broken record. You're not learning anything new about yourself because you're busy, caught up in something else. And Saturday, oops, close this out. We go Saturday, end of the day. I think that gets me everything I want. Yes. Sun in Gemini, sextiling. One of these months, Chiron is finally going to get out of Pisces and into Aries. It is so close. Sun in Gemini, learning more about this. How is this creating an interest in spiritual healing? And also letting go of wounds of the past. So learning about yourself and who you are at heart, creating interest in healing, releasing wounds, realizing your destiny. The Sun Kent, you're learning about who you are. That's part of your destiny, part of the reason you're here. Can inspire others to do the same. So it's other people seeing you, learning more about yourself, and that can inspire them to take action, to want to learn more about themselves. The shadow here is getting caught up in that false ego and learning nothing about who yourself, or learning about the false self. This actually wounds you more deeply, and as you're wounding yourself, you can be wounding others as well. And also, that was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm going to go to the end of the day on Sunday because it's just going to work better. First of all, we do have the moon in Virgo. So the moon in Virgo, emotionally, you need to improve and get better, get more skilled. Where do you need to improve? Where do you need to improve your emotional intelligence and become more emotionally skilled and more responsible for how you feel? The shadow here is pushing yourself with unrealistic expectations. And how is that fueling emotional burnout? And Sunday afternoon, we will have that first quarter moon. So I'll draw the square here. So how is emotional intelligence strengthening your ability to learn about yourself? The shadow here is getting caught up in unrealistic expectations about can lead to endless distractions and getting lost in useless information and meaningless information. So there we go. That's the week. Let me minimize this, go back here and here, slide, current slide. So that's the week in a nutshell. I'll try to keep it reasonable. Do follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and you're watching this on YouTube. These three companies make billions of dollars off your data and not sharing much, if any of it, with you. Digital Soul Space is hosted on the Mighty Networks. You control how your data is used. And what data I think it does allow what data can be collected as well. I call it the spiritual safe place of the internet. There's trolls abundant here. We have 4 moderators that keep the trolls down and out. I can't remember the last time I actually saw a trolling quote or somebody posting a troll. Somebody does something, one of them will get to them and say something. We got astrology on there. We also have crystals and tarot and oracle decks, mediumship, a wide variety of spiritual practices, music, art, you name it. What's the spiritual component on it? It's on there. Ask a question, people will share. It's a great place to hang out. There's a free version and a paid version. Free version gets you limited access, paid version gets you unlimited access, and 100% of what you're paying goes into maintaining the website. These are free, but they're selling your data to make it free. Here, what you give is going to pay for the website and the hosting the website and all the programs used to maintain it. I do readings in packages. I do offer a quick 6. So if you want to see how your chart changes from tropical to true sky astrology, the quick 6 is an easy way to see 6 key points on your chart. I do evolutionary astrology, and in that, your birth chart is your birth contract. It's who you came here to become. So it helps you understand the bigger picture of who you are and what your life's journey is to be. I also do what's called a karmic or a past life reading, depending on what people believe in. If you believe in past lives, you're repeating some sort of karmic trait or some sort of past life, an archetype. And I can help you understand what that archetype is and then how you heal it, which is equally as important. If you're a one and done, it's a special lesson. And I do offer horoscopes any 1 year, 12 months in a row, any 3 months in a row, or any 1 month. And then 1 month can be new moon to new moon, or it can be the first of the month or the last of the month. And I do offer some packages. So thank you very much. Like, follow, and share. Sign up for the newsletter. It's a pop-up. All I need is an email address. You get a once a week email with all this information and some other insights that are private to the email. So do like, follow, and share. Sign up for the newsletter. And remember, in the visible sky, your life changes. It actually should be with the visible sky, your life changes. Thank you very much. Have the best possible week. Oh, June 21st is the summer solstice, so do a happy solstice, and may your celebrations be joyous.